The 2017 Heroes Global Championship Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Welcome back, as we are almost ready here to get into game number 2, in fact, as Dignitas leads 1-0. Roll20 here, big task ahead of them now. It really depends on the battleground, I suppose, which we'll find out in a moment's time.
Yeah, you know, Tempest made, I think a lot of people would argue, the mistake of not picking BOE, and I think that's the option here that that they could go with here, but I'm not sure if that's what they're going to do. Like, I feel like I just don't know. It's one of those things where like Dignitas' style feels so strong. I'm not sure if there is an answer yet. Like you can't figure it out after just one loss.
I mean, some of the big names that we kind of go into these series as people like Mene and Prismaticism on one side and the other. These two, we saw Mene in the previous game looking very, very strong. But likewise, Prismaticism has to be one of the playmakers on the side of Roll20, Gillyweed.
Yeah, Prismaticism's looking pretty good so far when you look at this team statistically. He has one of the highest KDAs in the world. I think he's at 7th place, tied for that too, and then he has a really high kill participation. All of the members, or a lot of the members of Roll20 have that anyway because of their group up together style of play that they execute. But Prismaticism is a key role for this team and has been so ever since they made the roster swap of bringing in Goku for Yoda. It put Prismaticism more on the firm back line instead of having him more of a flex player, and that's let him really hone his skills in the back line.
And of course, you've got to remember that between these two teams, they are actual, friends, these two teams, and they have that friendly rivalry going on. And we even heard in an interview that Mene, we can quote him, he said, Roll20 has big mouths and small arms. So he knows that, or at least he believes that they are
Tyrannosaurus Rexes.
T-Rexes, apparently. This is why they all tweeted out pictures of Pokemon with little arms and big mouths, apparently. But overall is that the banter is there. They definitely want to be defeating each other, not only to advance on, but also just kind of for that one-upsmanship of each other.
Yeah, I think it's actually kind of a metaphor for what we're seeing in this series. It always feels like Dignitas is one step away, and it's just right out of Roll20's reach, right? And I mean, maybe they need to find a comp where they can, or find a comp that they can win early with or something, to try to snowball the game to allow Dignitas to do this. I mean, they've had some time to think about it now. BOE would be my go-to. That way you're just team fighting most of the time.
Well, let's find out. Let's find out what the battleground's going to be for Game 2. And it will be Cursed Hollow, chosen by Team Dignitas. So Roll20 is going to be going for first pick here, Gillyweed.
I am very surprised to see that that was the choice. But Roll20 choosing first pick for a reason. They feel like this is the best strategy for them to be able to get a game win. And it was likely that should they choose first pick, Dignitas would go back to Cursed Hollow, being that they chose it versus Tempest.
So now Roll20 needs to see what their draft route will be, because it's very possible that Dignitas would open again with an Abathur, all things depending. And Roll20 just now, they could have gone for something like Greymane Dehaka to counter Abathur, both of whom would have done fantastic. But they went for that double support choke to deny melee assassin value. And it just didn't have such a teamfight-centric character last game. So this is what Roll20 needs to ask themselves. What?
I just wanted to point out really fast that Roll20 traditionally bans Cursed Hollow too. They wanted first pick, but usually they ban this map. This was a map they used to like picking, and then it did not go well for them, so they started banning it. So hoping that they have something up their sleeves here, knowing that they're going here.
This ban is so strange.
For me, the only logical pick now is Greymane first pick.
Yes.
I don't see any... I don't see it. Doesn't mean it's not there. Of course it's there. But I don't see any other reason yet to ban Cassia that early.
Okay, I was going to say, what about something like a Brightwing or a Medivh?
I wonder if it's one of those kind of throwaway bans for the potential of them saying, actually, we might like Abathur as well. Because you saw Snitch's little grin as we went into that. But, there still could be other things, of course, from maybe scrims that they may have had, etc.
Well, I think they wanted to grab either the Brightwing, the Genji, or maybe a Medivh. They wanted to go towards that first pick, right? Now that they've forced the Abathur ban, they're in a way still controlling globals. They have Brightwing, Abathur's gone, so they're moving towards that sort of style of denying those from Dignitas. If Dignitas doesn't take Falstad in this first rotation, which would be pretty unlikely, right? I think it would be a smart ban for Roll20 down the line.
So Roll20, one other thing they could represent with this Cassia ban is maybe they want to go into Tassadar Tracer, alternatively Greymane and something. These two things are pretty well countered by Cassia full support team.
Oh,
I was gonna say
they got Brightwing. Like maybe they wanted to get that too, because what team in their right mind would pick a Task Tracer into Brightwing? But Team Dignitas answer back.
So this is like a cool, what I call handicap pick by Team Dignitas. You take something into something you don't want to take it into, but you do it anyway because you can tell that Roll20 has set it up that way.
Yep.
Now Roll20 will have to decide, did they have a second component to it, or has their draft been disassembled by Dignitas?
I want to see what they want to do next here because Genji's still available. We've seen these Brightwing bombs with Genji used several times, especially by the North American teams to great effect. And, you know, Genji can be quite powerful against this type of composition. Tracers going in, being aggressive, you Dragon Blade, if you can get that pick with a poly, you get the kill. But otherwise, you know, I feel like this next step here for Roll20 could just be standard. They could grab the Muradin and play safe and then ban the fall stat and just try to play normal as a result.
Okay, this is not normal, is it?
No.
I would say the most generic thing would have been ETC Greymane. And then you get the Power Slide Polymorph combo and Tracer along with good generic damage, top tier, top of the shelf. But instead, anything but normal. Brightwing Morales Dahaka. Does this look in any way familiar to you, Gilly? Or is it a new strat?
Morales could be a deny from the Morales Tracer.
On Dragonshire, it was a trace. You know, we saw this task comp with Morales Dahaka, and we saw Medevac, right? Like again, 3 potential globals tonight. So going back to kind of my strat I was talking about before in a little bit of ways here. If they ban the Falstad right now, then you have very little tools to use in terms of globals now for Dignitas to get that early keep, to put that pressure on.
So you think Roll20 will be like Artanis Tyrael on the final 2?
Yeah, you're worried about the Juice Pirates of strategy. Would be strange to see with the Dahaka. Dahaka is the one pick there that I was like, that's kind of strange. But I will say Roll20 currently holds the record at shortest game possible when they defeated Gale Force Esports on Warhead Junction with a very similar style of strategy, and I think that one had Zarya too. So that's a pickup, or that's a ban, that's a heads up from Dig.
Yeah, that's pretty intelligent from Dignitas. The question is, will they be willing to run double DPS with the Tracer comp with the Falstad? If they don't, then they're just not really going to have any global options. Am I missing something here? I think this is really just going to have to be a straight up team fight oriented game from Dig.
It's the first part of the puzzle Dignitas needs to place. How do we stop a potential Morales Medevac fly-in? What's actually good against that? Falstad is pretty good. Gust them away. You can take Tyrael to deny it from Roll20. Even Artanis is okay, but I don't think Dignitas will run it.
Arthas.
Is it back to
Karazine?
Nothing special in terms of Medevac, no respect to that as of yet.
Do you guys really feel this is going to be a Roll20 trying to use Morales for Medevac reasons? I feel like it's going to be for hyper carry like type style.
Either way.
I think
it can be. Like you need to at least do your due diligence in solving that. But absolutely, it doesn't have to be.
Especially the Dahaka. The Dahaka is what makes me think it's more toward the hyper carry with Stim Drone over the Medevac dropship. But I also still think that was a deny from the Tracer Morales.
I think that we just see a Greymane or a Vala here to round out the comp for Roll20, make the hyper carry work. You can use the Dahaka Brightwing to split push if you want to take Medevac and then threaten cores, but again, I just don't think it's as good of a style.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
What?
Well,
that was unexpected.
You could just go Diva Hammer.
Silence.
Well, they did. Well, this has, I suppose,
we need a tank.
This has a lot of really strong split push potential as well. You can use Diva to dismount members. She's really good at dismounting.
Don't pass this off as normal, Wolf.
I mean,
stop trying to explain.
This is the mech comp,
let's think about what Diva can do though, right? You can use Diva to demount people when you're trying to split push, get those keeps.
I know
you're so full of it.
This sounds very old school, but what stops the Stitches? Or I don't know. Any whatever they go for as a frontliner here, It's a bit scary, although you're not going to be actually sieging up unless you actually kill one member of Team Dignitas at least.
Think about it though. Self-destruct, sitting on Sergeant Hammer, no one can touch or think about it.
3 free hits
with a stim drone.
You go for the really long explosion. Don't come near us for a while.
Now take it back.
Ooh.
Now Sergeant Hammer.
Oh, okay. So Garrosh can throw away D.Va explosion, so that's always quite nice. There was nothing else that could do that yet.
I think the comp of Roll20 is going to be very difficult to execute because they have a lot of targets that are vulnerable to Garrosh, vulnerable to Pulse Bomb from Tracer. D.Va doesn't eat that in this game, so...
I just figured it out.
Uh-oh.
It's Stim Drone pilot build, D.Va.
Yeah?
Yeah. Pew, 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 pew. GG, well played, level 16 talent.
So you get your mech faster.
Nice.
No, just for damage. And it's
Also,
totally safe, trust me.
Excuse me, production, Grubby's broken. If we could get another analysis, that would be fantastic.
I have to leave stage now, right? Just give me 1 more minute.
So overall, not what we expected.
No, certainly not. I think it's a big risk, but they have something prepared here. And I don't want to judge it until I see it, because clearly this is very well prepared.
Yes.
I'm just looking forward to it as well, Wolf.
Gilly, you're American resident here.
I am thinking back to a time when Gale Force Esports defeated Tempo Storm 3-0 in Phase 1, and they did it with a Sergeant Hammer on Cursed Hollow. So maybe Roll20 can take a game off of Europe doing the same.
Maybe. Let's see how the votes are going at the moment out there in the HGC universe. Seems 55%, 45% split almost down the middle there. Continue to vote over on Twitter with the hashtag HGC as well as @HeroEsports. Our commentators are ready to go into game number 2. So let's watch this unfold as Hammer and D.Va try and defeat Dignitas.
D.Va and Hammer, you bet we're ready.
I don't know if I'm ready, but I can tell you I'm not going to be more ready than I am currently.
Yeah, exactly.
It is going to be a doozy here with the North American team going with, this is so unlike Roll20 to make this major of adjustments that I don't even know what to expect whatsoever.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting to also see the last pick on the side of Team Dignitas, since we knew from the draft that they want to be flexible. They knew something was a little bit fishy here. So at that point, they decided to go into Garrosh, which oftentimes in Europe is criticized when picked early, but as a reactionary pick, like right now, can make a lot of sense. We've been tossing around from a Stitches, from a Johanna to a Murder and Igni, nearly every single tank that is there, but they decided in favor of Garrosh for reasons that we can, of course, see now. Question still is, how does it work out against them?
We're going to have to find out. But either way, we are not going to keep you waiting any longer. We're ready to get into game number 2, again, between Europe and North America. Team Dignitas versus Roll20 here on Curse.
Right now, the 1-0 lead for Team Dignitas in this series here. If they can win now on Cursed Hollow, they would move on to Anaheim to play at BlizzCon. And we have them to the left side. Bakery for Dignitas on Karazim. We see JBL on Garrosh all the way up at that front line. Mene on Tacita. Once again, Snitch on Tracer. The combo that defeated Tempest. And Zelia on Arthas.
In the red is going to be North America's Roll20, where Glorong is on the Brightwing. Justing on a D.Va, that is a unique sight there. Goku's going to be on that Dahaka. Prismaticism on the Sergeant Hammer. And last is Buds on that Lieutenant Morales.
When we were talking about it's Hammer time, everybody expected Muradin to be picked, but this time we have the Sergeant in the house. And the one thing that I actually think is extremely interesting with this is that Roll20 has said, we have so many strategies prepared, so many different things that we can bust out whatever we want in the group stage. We're not going to hold back because we have so many strategies that no matter what happens here, we will have new stuff for BlizzCon.
Protect the hammer. It seems like it's going to be the approach here. Justing up on front, the defense matrix on top of Prismaticism later on is going to be a very, very helpful tool to make sure the members of Team Dignitas do not just, blow it up. If you played Sergeant Hammer, you know that sieging up is a very, very risky thing to make happen. And biggest thing I'm looking for is how effective is that Garrosh going to be at actually impacting the Sergeant Hammer's positioning and making her second guess when she sieges up.
There's a lot of aspects to it, and especially when we are talking about D.Va, for example, you can always throw the explosion, but against Hammer, it's a question, can you really hit her here? At this point, it's just a race. We're seeing Team Dignitas not reacting to the Hammer positions, so not going into a play where they immediately use Garrosh on the Hammer lane and try to somehow defend. Instead, they're just starting to push up at the top lane. Now, of course, Roll20 has some serious punches here with Sergeant Hammer and are getting that fort quite quickly. Up at the top lane, Dignitas is doing whatever they can to meet that aggression. but eventually they will have to react what Roll20 is doing here.
Ultimately here, Team Roll20 is going to be able to pull ahead into the race, and expectedly so, considering it is a Sergeant Hammer composition. It's just accelerating the pace at which the map is going to be played. I wouldn't say that either side, unless they, got a fort and the other one didn't, is really pulling ahead. It's mirrored on both sides of the battlefield.
You're very much trying to skip the early game.
Yeah, that pretty much is it. Heroics are going to come online, like, normally where you're like, oh, the third tribute, it can happen here or there. It's probably most likely we'll see them achieve those before that point in time. But that is really all that is going to be gained with this, as Glorong is going to be in a bad spot, not able to get the phase shift on out. There's no way he can play around this. Zalia just inevitably gets the kill.
Yep, Zalia gets a solo kill here, so Glorong goes down, Brightwing dead once again, and not quite what I expected in the mid lane.
Yeah, not what I expected either. And now Snitch is going to find himself a Buds. Prismat rather low, but luckily the healing beam is going to be just fine. Justing, not wanting Snitch to get that scout the same level, but we see again, Team Dignitas here is very, very comfortable with these small skirmishes, and more importantly, catching off Roll20. It feels like every time Dig is getting an advantage, it's the rotations and positioning within the laning that Roll20 has.
Yeah, one of the aspects though that we also have to point out is that Roll20, of course, is in this game the team that relies on Dehaka as a global, so that can really help them out later on, as we have Goku up at that top lane currently. But if you look at the experience, Team Dignitas has now started to claim elite. They have taken the first tribute, so overall they're doing very well here in the early game. Roll20 isn't quite able to build up the momentum that you oftentimes hope for if you're playing around with Sergeant Hammer.
And though we call this the Protect Their Hammer composition, I do wonder if that is going to be the thought process for Dignitas, because Hammer is going to be the largest damage dealer, obviously, on the roster that Roll20 has developed here, but I do think that it might be in their best interest to just focus down Brightwing. Glorong on that Brightwing is going to have to constantly second-guess where he is, and suddenly I feel like you can just get that kind of kiting and split focus into these team fights, and then that double support is going to look a lot weaker than it currently does.
Now, one of the things that we have to still point out with Hammer is, of course, that the auto attack damage on her is absolutely insane. It's one of the highest that we have from auto attacker's perspective in the game, which really makes her also strong in that sense against Tracer. You really pack a punch. So the longer Tracer starts to circle, you work these auto attacks in, it definitely hurts Snitch. So he has to be a bit more careful of how he approaches this. Combine that with Brightwing, who is a natural counter to Tracer to an extent, makes Snitch's life definitely a lot harder than in previous games. But of course, he is on that level of play where he still feels confident working in the damage and especially the potential insta-kills against any of the squishies in this setup.
Yeah, again, and that's kind of like exactly kind of the thing that I was trying to allude to there, is the fact that they may not be able to get onto the Hammer. Hold up a minute, they are going to this time with a nice flip on in. Bud's able to get the healing beam out, and the knockback is just fine, as Justing getting a lot of pressure from this frozen Tempest here.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a shock moment there for Roll20. The Globals once again working for the team in red. We have currently Glorong at the bot lane with Brightwing. Over here, on the other hand, it's again D.Va in a bit of trouble. Justing nearly getting flipped here, barely walking away from JPL as he is trying to confirm the kill against D.Va. But the tribute is still active and both teams still circling the spot.
Roll20 has got Glorong up on bottom to get a lot of experience back, but there's too much pressure into the mid lane between the Tassadar Tracer. Dignitas here is really just countering every thought process that Roll20 wanted to have into this game. They thought they have the double global. They're the ones who want to be split pushing, but this is not the case.
The flank at the bot lane. Arthas is trying to get another kill against Glorong here, moving in. The cooldown on the global should be ready though for Brightwing, but at this point the tribute is heavily fought over as well. Goku moves in and here comes Brightwing, trying to at least still stuck at the bot lane, and Glorong is in trouble there.
Yeah, he's going to have to try and make it out here, but I don't think he's going to be able to, and this is the second time this game Zalia has found himself a nice little Brightwing, something Glorong has got to be clearing up here if they're going to stay alive in the series.
That was the second kill against Brightwing, so 2-0, and in the meantime Roll20 with 4 man is making a play for boss. But if you look at experience, we have Dignitas nearly on level 10, and they're actually seeing this. They're starting with the invade. The Tong hits Snitch on the other hand, but he gets out as Mane provides him with a shield.
Heroics.
But this is a bad fight, and the boss is still active, going for Justing here. And as you said, heroics are in play for Team Dignitas.
Roll20 cannot contest this boss. Oh my goodness, are they going to even second guess this? Even if you have the Miracle Mega Explosion.
Zalia's waiting for the flank.
Force wall dropped. Zalia moves up. Looks like Roll20 does not have the interest in contesting that, but they are still miles behind a full level as that boss is going to be marching to this top keep.
It really looked like they identified that Arthas was still at the bot lane, and they simply said, listen, even with us losing Brightwing, the death timer is so short that Brightwing is going to be able to just TP into us, and at the same time, Dignitas might not even see what we're doing here. So they risked it, but Arthas started the rotation early, realizing that he had nobody to fight against at that bot lane, and then with level 10 talents kicking in, there was absolutely no way for Roll20 to really contest this. So Dignitas stealing the boss away, now claiming the second tribute, and establishing a very solid one-level lead with now an additional boss play at the bot lane.
And with Goku being the man checking out this boss here, that means that Brightwing's the only one able to get the experience to catch up to 10. That top wave is actually double stacked. That's enough for the 10, I believe, here. For the members of Roll20, it's going to be very, very close. But even if they hit this, it is not confident that this boss is going to be theirs.
Yeah, especially with Mena dropping the force walls here once again, but Roll20 is willing to fight. They don't have the 10 just yet. It's so close! They're going for it. Here comes Diva with the explosion. They're going all for it. The 10 is finally there. They're fighting over there. Emerald Wind is being used. The boss is stolen away. Roll20 does it. Dignitas loses the boss.
We lose the boss. They get the boop onto Zaylee. He's going to be body blocked right on out here. A lot of damage going on to Justin. The healing beat from Buds is going to keep him alive. Palm dropped. It is avoided by the members of Roll20 as they get the chase down and they find themselves their very first kill.
Really well done here by Roll20, but all of a sudden it's Justin who's in a bit of trouble. Great force wall by Mena, and down goes Diva. They get the counter kill, but the boss is still at the bot lane, and of course with Hammer they now have the potential to move into this. Glorang in the meantime grabbing the second tribute for his team, and we see Roll20 move through that bot lane trying to work down that keep.
They have the Sergeant Hammer siege composition, but it is scary knowing that the Arth is going to be back online. They're going to medevac right through mid and siege up in just a very different area. This is brilliant play here from Roll20, but they need to make sure that they keep up this momentum because Dignitas was in such a dominant position up until that boss call.
It was such a risk for Roll20 to even commit to it without the 10, and it could not have come a second later. If not for Brightwing using Emerald Wind at that exact moment, that boss would have gone over to Team Dignitas. But Roll20 has the perfect timing on it. Now on the other hand, Diva dying again. The Garrosh pick really starting to pay off for Dignitas.
That was just brilliant synergy across the board from Team Dignitas. Mene with the setup there onto the force wall, and then JPL to really just counter everything Justin had in mind. But both of these teams are at curse point. And if Team Dignitas gets the curse, hold up, Prismat, another force wall and a flip. Brightwing gonna drop the Emerald Wind. Polymorph goes on to Bakery, he can't palm, but he gets it off, and it's gonna go on.
The palm is procced, and Hammer dying in the meantime. We still have the Haka at the bot lane. He was trying to pressure the keep even more, but in the meantime, we have Team Dignitas in that mid lane active, taking down Brightwing, and they can now focus again on the fort. They're closing on 13. Goku takes the tribute, and this curse is not going to do too much for Roll20.
What this is essentially Roll20 accepting the fact that they are significantly behind and they are afraid of what might happen if that curse went over towards the members of Team Dignitas. But to be honest, I do feel like this is going to be something a couple minutes from now they are regretting. Giving up such a major map objective like 3 tributes is just something you have to capitalize on.
I think they were just afraid from the curse coincidentally happening with the 13 that we would immediately see Dignitas moving onto the lanes, grab 13, and then push heavily with curse and a talent advantage. So they sacrifice that curse. It's not going to do enough damage here, not as much as they would love to do, but that gives Dignitas, of course, a bit of an upper hand heading into the next tribute. For now, Roll20 is trying to make sure that they at least get something out of it. They focus on the top 4. They will claim 13, so they at least find themselves on the same talent here as their opponent.
Yeah, and right now things are just, again, looking good because they were able to pick up the curse. Our fear comes in the next couple of minutes, right? It's not right now. Roll20 is like, okay, they're back in this. We're on even footing, but it's the tributes that they are struggling with and how these bosses are going to play out. Dignitas has shown that they're very comfortable split pressuring you and putting you in a lose-lose situation, which it looks like they're going to make happen right here up on top.
Arthas once again trying to lock down Justin. They're trying to go for it. The explosion hits, and it hits hard. Down goes Tracer. That's a big win for Roll20. They're trying to go for Zelia. He answers with another Howling Blast. The palm comes out, maybe a little bit too early. Zelia still alive. The cooldown used by Bakery, but this is definitely a winning fight fight for Roll20 right now, as they're still trying to chase down the Prince.
Yeah, Xaylia is just so very tanky. I did want to highlight Buzz's grenade there. That was very clever to be able to get the dismount and the knockback, but nobody for Roll20 in position. But with that kill, they're going to back out, try and take this boss. Dignitas doesn't look like they're giving this up for free.
Their situation, though, Roll20's situation, has improved immensely through that last fight. Before that, my biggest concern was really the tributes that we have for Dignitas now. If they get that curse and some momentum, they can really start punishing Roll20. But if you look at kills, for example, Dignitas is, as expected, the team that is currently dominating most of the team fights. But I like what Roll20 has in terms of global play. We mentioned at the beginning of the game, DeHaka, Brightwing, great globals for them. They have the Medivac as well. And with Sergeant Hammer, they have also huge pressure against structure, so they can try and play around them.
Justin got flipped over the wall, and what I was going to say is a huge opportunity for a big play for Roll20 to siege up with the Sergeant Hammer. This is what their comp is great at, sieging with bosses, then medevacing for a boss up on bottom, but all it took was one clever play, and Dig is not done yet.
Arthas with their flank, Brightwing with the Emerald Wind trying to save them for now, but that medivac just doesn't go far enough. I'm sorry, Prismaticism is eliminated. He goes down, and once again we have Goku just a tiny bit too late, nearly falling there as well. The escape was so well planned. They get the medivac in, they use the Emerald Wind to buy the time to go in, and it was just like, guys, I'm sorry to tell you, but I just clicked over there.
It just feels like it was the, you know, the James Bond movie. The epic escape is going to happen. They get in the car going a million miles down the road, and then suddenly, boys, we got a flat.
It was such a nice thought process on their end, but this is the moment that we were afraid of earlier.
Force wall.
That curse could hurt, especially since 16 would also drop for Dignitas if they win this fight. Roll20, they have to put everything in as they can. Goku is in so much trouble already, trying to move away. Bakery and Snitch, they confirm the kill. The UK Dream Team, they make it happen. And now Dignitas in a 5 versus 4 situation. They're close to 16. They want the tribute, they want the curse, and they also want more kills. But it's Sergeant Hammer that eliminates Tassadar.
And Tassadar ended up going down there. JPL able to get the flip on Prismaticism. The members of Roll20 are looking to turn this thing around as Dignitas is so low, the palm goes through, the grenade seals the deal, and the kill on to Bakery, Polymorph done, and Roll20 now has 3 kills that they can use to try and get onto this boss.
What an unbelievable fight by Roll20. This was the fight they needed to win. If they lose this, they are cursed, the boss is taken, and Dignitas has a 16 talent advantage that they can use, but they turn it around. It all starts with a kill in favor of Dignitas, and then somehow Roll20 makes a triple kill happen.
It legitimately feels like every single time Dig does a brilliant play, gets an advantage, and then you go, this is a no, there is only one chance for Roll20 to set it back to even, and each time they get that miracle play. With this boss, again, they have a composition that thrives at sieging up. This should very much be a keep. I would be even willing to say it could be game depending on how many deaths happen on the side of Dig.
Exactly, and as we said before, they also still have that global play. You can see DeHaka in the mid lane, you see Brightwing up at the top, and now of course Roll20 is moving to the bot lane. A little bit of lanes out push, but this is all about the siege up here. And Dignitas is pushing out far at this point. They're trying to make sure that this boss is taking as much damage as possible before the big fight starts.
Yeah, and you can see that Roll20 was more comfortable with the tribute and playing this a bit slower rather than forcing that end positioning. Never mind, Glarm's actually going to make the transition down just to help secure the rest of this keep. Force wall, and that is a terrible spot for Goku to be in as he gets flipped right on over. The taunt is there, and that is a dead Dino.
Yeah, that's a dead Dino, but you know, I have to admit something here. The kills look good for them. And overall, Dignitas is really doing well with those isolation kills. The keep hasn't fallen, which is fantastic for them. But Roll20 doesn't have to fight. They can always try to just somehow play around them, push the bot lane with Brightwing, push it with DeHaka. And if at any point the keeps are gone, just a simple move with Sergeant Hammer flying in can start to threaten your core, especially if you have someone interrupting potential TPs back. So that's what I'm worried about here. I really think that Dignitas in a 5 versus 5 has shown great fight so far, despite Roll20 winning the last one quite handily. But overall, Roll20 has so many different ways they can play the late game now.
I completely agree with you that there is a lot of different win conditions available for the members of Roll20. But out of the 3 cases we've seen in this game, to where you look at it and you go, this is it. This is what the comp is built to accent. You know, it's looking to take a boss and make it a bigger problem than it should be at this point in time. Not once have we seen it be effective. We were considering a possible game situation, and they didn't even get the key.
The not getting the keep at the bot lane is definitely something that should worry them, because as you said, we were even thinking, hey, if you get a pick here, you could maybe make that push towards the core. And now we are, but again, we are at least at 2 tributes for 2 tributes. So Roll20's position compared to when they took their first curse, and we were very concerned about the next few minutes, has significantly improved. But you are absolutely right. They have not really played to the strength of the composition to the degree that we expected and hoped for them.
Yeah, their team fight is still there. It's just the macro side that seems to be kind of missing.
It feels they could be farther ahead than where they are right now.
Yeah, very much so. But this is going to be the breaking point for either side. Justin's going to go ahead and get dropped over. The taunt is there.
And again, they're trying to go for the kill. But this time the force wall is not locking him down. Here comes Goku moving in, hitting the isolation. The pulse bomb takes down D.Va. Snitch is making it happen for his team, and now we're talking again about Curse.
Dignitas will pick themselves up a Curse. The top boss just spawning. We'll see if they end up. Yes, that is going to be the decision for them. They are going to transfer here, and I would expect them to. Is this going to be a double keep play minimum? The members of Roll20, any kind of staggered death, like we said before, very much could be game. But in all situations here, it is a grim future for the members of Roll20.
The talents alone, the 16 for Tazadar with the double storm and the quest completion is something that they have to be worried about. They're having all that extra damage that especially Bakery picked up with his level 16 talent as well. So now they can soften up the targets in the backline way more. And this situation is something that you want to avoid. Dignitas pushing into Roll20 is something that the North American team does not going to enjoy. They want to be the ones that push into the opponent. Right now, the keep is about to fall, and if they get the kill after the flip here, that might be the beginning of the end. Brightwing is down.
Brightwing down. The keep is quick to follow immediately after, and Team Dignitas look like they are interested in this core.
And I would be too. They nearly have level 20, so if they get the extra talent, this could definitely be it. Here comes the explosion, thrown away right away. Morales goes down. A 5 versus 3. They go for their core. Team Dignitas struggling a bit more in game number 2, but they still make it happen. They go to the core, they drop Roll20, and they take the series without dropping a map to advance to BlizzCon and Anaheim.
Very impressive play there coming out from Team Dignitas. There was so many moments where you expected Roll20 to suddenly be able to abuse their composition, especially JPL's catch up on top. I feel like that was really a play that was the only reason Dignitas was able to recover, because the momentum swing in the siege that should have been top keep or at least half up it, and they were just so ready to make the play necessary at every moment throughout that game.
I still have to say that I really like what Roll20 did here. I enjoyed that strategy a lot, and you could see a huge amount of potential. I think with a bit of a better execution, this could have definitely led us into a third map. But as is, Team Dignitas takes the tour victory, and we're going to hear more from the desk about the 2 games that were just played here in the winners match of the Group C.
That's right, game number 2 in the hands of Team Dignitas, advancing on to BlizzCon as previously mentioned. So congratulations to them, of course, going up against Roll20, but it wasn't without its mishaps in some of those moments, especially in game number 2, where Roll20 could have almost got that keep and started things going.
Yeah, I think that easily could have been Roll20's game, but I felt like every single person on Roll20's side made a costly mistake, and versus a team like Dignitas, and with a comp like they were running, there's no room for error. So Dignitas will be the #1 team or seed out of this group.
I think we have to point fingers at Justin. His D.Va play it left a lot to be desired. There were a few moments with really good self-destructs, but overall I think he got caught too many times being aggressive. That's where we go back to that Garrosh last pick that punished him time and time again. He was often demeched with his teammates not even there. He rocket boosted in and just got caught so many times. And this comp, I feel like, may have been run by this team once or twice before, but it was not a well-practiced composition.
It felt very similar to Team Freedom versus Fnatic, where D.Va kept getting hooked and gorged. And it's just this mentality that creeps into D.Va players, where you feel that you can get away from anything. Multiple health bars, boosters, and it's just proving to be wrong. We got a few really cool moments, actually, Kalaris, in this game that I just want to show again. Okay. First one here is very cool boss moment, right? Level 10, not yet quite there by Roll20. As we pause it just for a sec, we pause it here, we actually see that Bakery dodges the D.Va explosion damage. He is where he wants to be, but he radiant dashes in as the D.Va explosion happens, taking no damage from it. This was their best chance to try and contest, as Tracer comes in as well, but then Emerald Wind seals the deal. We go to the next one. That was a really cool moment, a big moment for Roll20. And this one, really difficult actually to analyze properly. You see the initial forwards momentum by Dignitas. It's so good. You get the Haka flipped in there. And then as the dust clears up, suddenly this scrappy composition by Roll20 wins out in the chaos. And I'm still not quite sure how exactly.
Yeah, they losing Dahaka so earlier on, but it was this big split, and Roll20 were able to take out Tassadar here. And a lot of that comes down to Prismaticism. He used Dimensional Shift because he wanted to get up further up, but then Prismaticism flanking on in, getting the extra damage off of Focus Attack was a lot, as well as his heroic ability.
Notice also that Karazim needs everyone to be grouped to do heals. And unfortunately, everyone was split by the composition here. A lot goes back to the D.Va, so everyone's split away, and you just can't heal there with Karazim. Everyone needs to be grouped in order for that to happen. Tassadar is dead, as you say.
Now, as we just pause it here for a sec, D.Va gets thrown in, gets taunted. One of those moments where you're like, do you really need to be in that bush right now? It's the #1 most obvious bush, and this is some of those individual mistakes. And then we run it forward. He picked up Torpedo Dash, and arguably this is a lot smarter than Nana Weave Suit. Gilly, you were saying this as well, because you get out of position. It's not about the HP you have.
Yes.
But then Arthas chases in, gets that slow, and just inches before he can reactivate and become mech mode, he dies. And this is not only the misplay here for Roll20, it's also the prescience of Zelia there with Arthas to start moving towards where you know the opponent is going to be in the future, rather than just playing reactively. Absolutely phenomenal play by Dignitas.
Overall, we theorized the idea potentially of Stitches coming in, but that Garrosh really was able to cement that in a very similar way to how that could occur. We can head over to the stage now with Kevin, who is ready with Bakery.
Thank you so much, James. That's right, I'm here with Bakery once again. Congratulations on your victory over Roll20. Must feel very good. Give me your thoughts, though, on that final composition there on Cursed Hollow. What was going through your team's head when you saw that drafted? Was it something you expected?
I mean, if I had to, like, say, I guess just question marks. A lot of question marks. Like, we had no idea what they wanted to do. We were like, we've never seen anything like this before. And I think we responded really well. The Gamos was a super cool draft adaptation, I think, which completely shut down their 4-man push.
Yeah, that absolutely wrecked the D.Va. It was a fantastic choice for sure. So you take the victory here in Group C. You advance #1, which is great. You guys must be feeling very, very confident. How do you intend to spend the rest of the next week preparing for BlizzCon?
So I think it's very important that we get some rest. We prepared really hard for this week. So we boot camped in Korea. We were screwing full-time before that. Then we arrived here. We've been screwing full-time. So we're just going to take a bit of a break, you know, today, maybe tomorrow. And then after that, we'll look to get back on the grind and get back up to speed.
Fantastic. One last question for you. Now that you've had a chance to kind of get your feet wet here with the tournament, what is the confidence level of you and your team right now going into BlizzCon as well?
We definitely had a few struggles when we went to Korea. Before we went, we were doing really, really well, and we were super confident that we had a great shot at this tournament. But when we arrived in Korea and found Korea was so strong and we had to adapt, we were weaker for a bit. But I think yesterday, actually, we had a really good day of scrims, and ever since then, we've been feeling really confident. So we're definitely aiming for semi-finals, definitely aiming for finals, and I think we have a shot to take it.
Fantastic. I can't wait to watch all the games. Good luck on your preparation. Okay, guys, Dignitas takes the first win out of Group C. They will be headed to BlizzCon next week. We've got much more to go today, though, including our elimination match up next. You'll want to stick around. We'll be right back with more Heroes of the Storm action.
Jay is trying to capitalize on it, he's trying to go in, and he drops once again the Moshpit that gets immediately interrupted, but we already have the Royal Focus on the Ominous Wrath used by Leoric to try and reduce the damage output of Roll20. Roll20 trying to get together, and we have the copy on Rhaegar going for Prismaticism in the backline, but Gul'dan survives the fight on the Shrine. On the other hand, he's healing his first victim as Brightwing is down, and she might not be the only one. Goku is low, and Dignitas is ready for the chase.
Justin goes in to try and get a little bit of peel. Wraith walk in, the mine is hit. Goku is not long for this world. Bud's going into ghost form. Yeah, we even see Diablo going down here. Team Dignitas is just dominating on this map.
Leoric with a mace to the face, dropping Sonya, and now... feels they could be farther ahead than where they are right now.
Yeah, very much so. But this is going to be the breaking point for either side. Justin's going to go ahead and get dropped over. The taunt is there.
And again, they're trying to go for the kill, but this time the force wall is not locking him down. Here comes Goku, moving in, hitting the isolation. The pulse bomb takes down Diva. Snitch